Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, once again, I'm going to be showing two more builds for Edge of Fate. These are both for either ag clear, boss damage, or whatever you want. They're very versatile builds, so you can use them in any instance. So the first one here, we're going to be using the exotic Mask of Baccharis, which is a featured exotic, and it got updated this season. So with this exotic, while you have a stasis super equipped, your dodge becomes a longer range, faster moving shift that partially cloaks you during use. After shifting, your stasis and arc weapons gain a stacking bonus damage for a short time, and final blows with the bonus active refund class ability energy. So what they didn't say is this buff to stasis and arc weapons, it's not just stasis and arc weapons. It is also Lord of Wolves. I don't know why, but it's Lord of Wolves. So you can throw on like a stasis weapon if you want, but really what you're going to be doing here is, say you're in a boss battle in like a dungeon or something, and you're using like swords or close up. This is perfect. Lord of Wolves is a very close up weapon. And then I use a grenade launcher. You can change to a sword like Falling Guillotine or something, but I use a grenade launcher. So Lord of Wolves, the fact that this build is super good is mainly because of the Lord of Wolves Catalyst, but it's good on its own too. So pretty much, it just holds 30 ammo, and it shoots in 5-round bursts. When you ADS, it has really good range, but less damage. And when you hip fire, it shoots a lot faster, and it has better damage. A lot better damage. So that's why it's for close-up, since you're hip firing and it's a shotgun. And then the Catalyst makes it so it increases reload speed and stability by a lot. And then while you're hip firing, damaging targets will apply Scorch. And when you ADS, defeating a target spreads Scorch to those nearby. So it pretty much gives you Incandescent for ADS. And then while you're hip firing, it just applies Scorch, which is really good. So I also use something like Tanasha's Mastery. You don't have to, you can use something like Lost Signal, preferably a stasis weapon to get the stasis buff. And then Outrageous Fortune, which although it's solar, if you get a roll like this, you should most definitely use it. This is like an amazing ag clear roll, and not just an ag clear roll, you can use it for bosses too. So first it's got Incandescent, and then a new trait, Burning Ambition. Dealing sustained damage scorches the target, and dealing damage to a scorched target inflicts Scorch. So what you can do with this build is you can do Lord of Wolves, scorch something with Lord of Wolves with Hipfire, and then switch to this since it's already scorched, and scorches some more, and then start igniting it, and you'll be doing a ton of damage. So for the subclass, we're using a Stasis Super because it wouldn't work without it, so Silence and Squall. Marksman's Dodge, so it's better cooldown and it reloads your weapon. Knife Trick, and then Grapple. Aspects, we're using Threaded Spectre and Gunpowder Gamble. Threaded Spectre instead of Winter Shroud because it just gives 3 fragment slots, and they're both for your class ability anyway. So fragments, we're using Passive Balance, so you get more melee and grenade energy with light and dark kills. Passive Awakening, so you get elemental pickups. And then that will also work with Passive Honor. When you collect an elemental pickup, it grants you Transcendence energy of the same type. And then Passive Dawn, so melee hits makes you Radiant, which works with Passive Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly, which is really good for this build. And then Passive Purpose, picking up an orb will give you Frost Armor since you have a Stasis Super, which will also work for Passive Hope, since it is an elemental buff. So for armor mods, I used, for all armor, we're going to be using the weapons mod, so you just do more damage. And then for helmet, I used, you can use Solar Strand or Solar Stasis, depending on if you're using, say, you can use Tenacious Mastery, the Call, Lost Signal. Tenacious Mastery does work really well with this, though. Or you can use something like Bold Endings or Unloved if you don't like running double secondary. But because it's double secondary, I threw on Special Ammo Finder. Increases the effect of all contributions toward the special ammo meter. And then just Powerful Friends. You can do Harmonic Siphon too, just for more orbs. Gauntlets. I did Solar Loader, so you have better reload speed for Lord of Wolves. And then double Focusing Strike, so you get more class ability energy with melee attack damage. Chest armor, I did Solar Ammo Generation times 2, and then Strand Ammo Generation, so you just have better ammo generation. You can do Stasis Ammo Generation too if you're not using a Strand weapon. Whichever weapon you're using in the kinetic slot. Leg armor, Insulation, so you get better class ability cooldown. Solar Weapon Surge, and like I said, either Strand or Stasis Weapon Surge, depending on your kinetic weapon. And then class item is Outreach for better melee cooldown, Reaper, and Powerful Attraction, which they're all for class ability, which makes sense for this build. So we're going to try this out in the shooting range to see how much damage it can do. So here you see we have ammo for all our weapons, we have all our abilities. So let's say I used Lord of Wolves normally. Let's see how much damage it does. 2,600, and that's with the Scorch. So we'll wait for the Scorch to run out. And then let's see with the Mask of Bacchus shift. 2,900, and that's before the Scorch. So it's around 3,000 damage total because of Scorch. So then the gameplay loop for this is pretty much just use all your abilities and then grapple, melee, use your normal melee. That'll get your class ability faster, and then use Transcendence to get even more abilities, and then use your dodge. Use Lord of Wolves. Just keep using it. Throw some abilities. Just use some other weapons if you want. That's around 35,000 damage. And that's pretty much the length of a damage phase. In some cases, like half a damage phase, depending on what you're doing. And then because of Threaded Spectre, he's unraveled now. So that was the first build. And that build is mainly for higher end content, but you can use it for, like, let's say ag clear or something. It's really just anything. So then the second build is a solar build using the Young Ahamkar's spine, and this makes use of 3 featured weapons. So you get a 10% damage buff for your energy slot and 2% for your kinetic and power slot, but that's if they're tier 1. If they're tier 5, it would be 10%. Tier 2 would be 4%. It just depends what tier weapons you have. And then, since you have 4 pieces of new armor, it's 4.8% damage resist, depending on what tier they are, of course. So this is using young Ahamkara's spine, which is very good this season. So increases trip mine grenade duration and blast radius, and ability damage grants trip mine grenade energy. So pretty much, if you use any ability besides any ability including trip mine, it'll give you trip mine energy. So this is using solar. We've got blade barrage, gambler's dodge, knife trick, and then of course trip mine grenade. Aspects are going to be on your mark and knock them down. So on your mark, really it's just the last part, precision final blows while at 3 stacks make you radiant, so you can get radiant more. And then knock them down, your solar supers are enhanced, so blade barrage launches more projectiles, and when you're radiant, final blows with your throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. So for fragments, first we have when you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. That's not the main part. The main part is picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. So that means anytime you see a fire sprite, you can run to it and it'll start healing you. Next is Ember of Combustion. Final blows with a solar super causes targets to ignite and creates a fire sprite. That can be perfect for ad clear. If there's a big group of ads, just throw your super. It'll have a ton of fire sprites and a ton of ignitions. Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks make you and nearby allies radiant, so that'll help give your knife trick back. And then Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. And then Ember of Char. Your solar ignition spreads scorch to affected targets. So the reason we're doing melee so much is because ability energy gives trip mine energy, ability damage. So if you just keep throwing your knives, it'll keep giving you trip mines. Weapons. We're using the exotic Devil's Ruin, which got buffed this season, and it's a featured weapon. There is no catalyst, so intrinsic, final blows create fire sprites, that's perfect. Fire sprites have a 3-second cooldown, so you don't have to wait long to create them. And then after picking up a fire sprite, you can switch modes to enable a super high power solar beam. It lasts like a couple seconds, but it does a lot of damage. And then it's also good against unstoppable champions. Then the trait, the solar laser scorches targets, and when they die it ignites. Then we're using the new first ever rocket assisted pulse rifle, Mint Retrograde. It doesn't really matter what role you have on this. And then we're using same grenade launcher as before, Outrageous Fortune, but it's even better for this build, since with this build all of your abilities will scorch. So Burning Ambition, you can just scorch anything, and if you run out of abilities you can instantly ignite them. And if you scorch something with, let's say, your knife, and then ignite them, it'll give you trip mine energy. And then Incandescent is just good for ad clear. So Mint Retrograde and Outrageous Fortune, if you're wondering how to get them, you just go to your portal, go to Pinnacle Ops, and then choose any of these. The most popular one right now is Encore, because you can do it very quickly and it gives a lot of rewards. So let's say you customize this, put it on Expert with a ton of Banes, and then just do all the modifiers. So that'll give you 3 tier 2 rewards. And then if you want to see what the rewards are, here they are. So there's Mint Retrograde, and then there's Outrageous Fortune. There's other ones you can get, like this new micro missile frame. It's like the Mountaintop, but arc. And then the Lionfish, which is a great fusion rifle. And then this bow is from back in Final Shape, maybe even Lightfall. but they did redo it and redo some perks. And then an armor set, which the helmet is very nice if you're a hunter. You can throw on something like photo finish, make it change color. And then it's got some swords on the cloak. So that's what you would get for doing that on any difficulty. You'll get Pinnacle Ops for any difficulty, but the higher you go, the better they'll get. So it'll be like tier 2, tier 3 if you're on like Grandmaster mode, or Master, whatever the highest one is. So armor mods here are for helmet. It's gonna be grenade for all of these, because it'll increase your grenade cooldown and grenade energy from all sources, which I haven't tested it, but I'm pretty sure includes young Ahamkar's spine. And if you get it above 100, it'll increase the damage done by your grenades. So I use Solar Strand Siphon, and then just a Harmonic Siphon for Mint Retrograde and Devil's Rune. And then Gauntlets, Impact Induction ×2, and then Grenade Font. Chest Armor, I did same thing as before, double Solar Ammo Generation and Strand Ammo Generation. Legs are Innervation, Solar Weapon Surge, and Strand Weapon Surge. And then finally, Cloak is Bomber, Time Dilation, and Powerful Attraction. Lastly, artifact mods. The ones that are essential for this build, unlike the builds in my other videos, do require the artifact mods. So you're going to use Unstoppable Sidearm Hand Cannon, and then Anti-Barrier Scout and Pulse. That's perfect, so you have 2 champion weapons. Then you're going to use Flame Fiber and Freeze for the Solar Strand Siphon. Then you don't really have to use Diviner's Discount. Then Reciprocal Draw, so you get better sidearm damage. Elemental Coalescence for elemental pickups from kills. And then Fever and Chill, so rapid precision hits will give you Radiant if you're using a solar weapon. So if you want to see this in the shooting range, we can go in here. I want to rally. So you can see you can throw your grenade. That gives you about 3/4 of your grenade back. And then throw your knife. Throw your grenade again. Dodge. Throw your grenade. Throw your knife. Grenade. Grenade. And then if you have your super, you can throw that. Throw your grenade again. And then since it's scorched, you can pull out your grenade launcher, start igniting it, throw your grenade again, and then just keep igniting it. Use your melee. And I missed that time. So with this build, you can pretty much just spam your grenade. I did miss that last one, so it went away. But I can put down some tougher enemies and show off Devil's Ruin, the laser, and maybe even a champion. So there's a barrier champion. So here we can use our dodge, knife, grenade. And then he put up his barrier, so we use our pulse, throw another grenade, use our pulse again, and he's dead. So this rocket assisted pulse rifle is really amazing. So he uses 1 ammo and shoots in a burst of 3. So it's kind of like a linear fusion rifle. And those bursts of 3 do so much damage. So let's just demonstrate the damage. Let's see one burst. See, I just killed someone at half health and with a shield with one burst. So let's try it again. Two ammo to kill one enemy. So 2 bursts are 1,463 damage. 1 burst would be 927. So then if you want to see Devil's Ruin, just kill an enemy, pick up a fire sprite. You can see at the bottom above your super, Pyrogenesis available. Switch modes, and then you can charge it up like a linear fusion or a fusion, and then it'll just shoot a big laser. And that did pretty much a full bar of his health. So this build is pretty much just scorch everything and explode everything. And then if you want to see it on the boss again, we can go rally. So here we use a grenade, melee, grenade. Super. See there, we didn't get our grenade fully, but we did get the majority of it, so we dodge, melee, and then boom, grenade again. So even if you don't fully get your grenade back, it won't take long to get it back. Since your dodge cooldown is so short, you can just get your melee back and that'll get your grenade back. Or use your grenade launcher. So there I ran out of ammo and abilities. So now I would have to just run around looking for ammo or wait for my dodge, which if you check, for me it's a 21-second cooldown. That's not bad. And then you can start using your Mint Retrograde. Or let's say Devil's Ruin Laser. See, there's the ignition. And then after like what, 10-15 seconds, you get your abilities back. Just keep spamming them. And then no heavy ammo, so just gotta keep using your other weapons. So those were my 2 builds. I think this build is very good for the Edge of Fate campaign or Edge of Fate on Fabled difficulty after you beat the campaign. It might take you a bit to get a good roll of Mint Retrograde, but as long as it's a little good, like mine isn't a god roll, it's just stats for all and elemental honing. But as long as it's somewhat good, then it'll go great with this build. And then Outrageous Fortune, I got the god roll for it, the add clear god roll and the boss god roll. both in one. But if you just get Burning Ambition and something else, that'll be perfect too. And then you can use this for lots of bosses. If you don't really like solar so much, or you find it you can't get to your fire sprites in a heal in time, then go check out my other video. I do have a void build with third iteration that pretty much makes you unkillable since you're invisible all the time and you're healing a lot because your health stat is around 150. So that's gonna be it for today. Um, I'll release another video soon, maybe one more build, two more builds, and I'll showcase them in the shooting range again, just to give you a feel of how they actually do, instead of just showing you the build. Demonstrating them helps. So, that's all. Have a good one and subscribe for more builds.